Good morning, students. Today we will be learning chapter 6, second part of this chapter, that is animal tissue. Already we have learned the first part, that is the plant tissues, in the other video, but still I'll just brief it. Tissues are of two types, plant tissues and animal tissues. And among plant tissues, you have learned about meristematic tissues and permanent tissue. Now today we will be learning about animal tissues. So in animal tissues, mainly 4 different types of tissues comes. They are epithelial tissues, connective tissues, muscular tissues and nervous tissues. Yeah, so this is your textbook. You can get ready with your textbook. So when we breathe, we can actually feel the movement of our chest. Yes or no? Yes, because you have an inspiration and expiration. Due to that, you can see that your chest cavity is moving. So for movement, there are certain types of specialized cells and they are called as muscular cells. Now here the movement of muscles, they are known as contraction and relaxation. Okay, here we doesn't say that muscles move upward and backward. The movement that we say here for the muscle movement is contraction and relaxation. So these movements bring about the movement in the muscle cells. So during breathing we inhale oxygen, as you all know. But where does this oxygen go? You know that oxygen is needed for the cells. So this oxygen, it is absorbed in the lungs and then is transported to all the body through blood. So how is this oxygen transported? It is transported through blood. Why would cell need oxygen? The function of mitochondria. In the other chapter you have learned the function of mitochondria is to provide what? Energy to the cells. Blood flows and carries various substances from one part of the body to the other. So main function of blood is to transport, right? Whatever is there in the blood will be transported to all over the body, right? So the main function of blood is to transport various materials. So blood, how will it transport? Blood flows and carries various substances from one part to another. Now for example, let us consider about oxygen. Blood carries oxygen and food to all cells. Okay, that is one function of blood, carries oxygen and food. The next is carries them to the liver and kidney also for disposal. Once the oxygen and food is given to all the cells, from the cells the waste materials also needed to be disposed. So that is also taken by the blood and given to the liver or kidney for disposal. Now blood and muscles. Now we in this paragraph we talked about muscles and also blood. 2 different things. These 2 are examples of tissues found in your body. Okay. On the basis of function, animal tissues are of different types. Epithelial tissue, connective tissue, which is the blood. Example for connective tissue is the blood. Muscular tissue, We just talked about it, muscles. And the last one is nervous tissue. So we will learn in detail what all these tissues are. First one, epithelial tissue. Epithelial tissue, the covering or protecting tissue in the animal body are epithelial tissue. So wherever there is a covering, whatever organs are there, all of them are covered using epithelial tissue. Now epithelium covers most organs and cavities within the body. What is cavity? What does the term cavity means? Those are spaces, open spaces in your body are called cavities. Now it also forms a barrier to keep different body system separate. What is a barrier? Barrier means it acts as a wall and protects the body system. So you know your skin is a protective barrier which prevents germs to enter, right? So epithelial tissue, they act as a barrier to keep different body systems separate. Now you know the skin, the lining of the mouth, the lining of blood vessels, lung alveoli and kidney tubules are all made up of epithelial tissues only. Skin, you know, the lining of the mouth, that also you know what is it. The lining of blood vessels. Lining of blood vessels means the blood vessels are having a covering. They are made up of epithelial tissue. Then lung alveoli. What is a lung alveoli? I'll just show you. This is the trachea. Then trachea divides into two, right? Do you remember this? Into two bronchi, right? And then it divides again and again and again. It keep on dividing, right? Keeps on dividing. Yeah. And then at the end of this is the alveoli. They are surrounded by capillaries and blood vessels, right? Where the gaseous exchange occurs. So this alveoli also is made up of epithelial tissues. Where is first? Epithelial tissues are tightly packed and form a continuous sheets. Okay, epithelial tissues, they are tightly packed. They are tightly packed like this and form a continuous sheet. They have only a small amount of cementing material between them. So if you consider these sheets, in between they are having only certain small amount of cementing material. The cementing matlab you don't have cement there to stick towards each other. There are only a very few amount of material. Now obviously anything entering or leaving the body must cross at least one layer of epithelium. So if you consider a bacteria is here, okay, and this bacteria want to enter inside, then this bacteria have to go across these layers, right? So this particular epithelial tissue acts like a barrier to prevent from diseases also. As a result, the permeability of the cells of various epithelia play an important role in regulating the exchange of materials between the body and the external environment, and also between different parts of the body. So if the cells are permeable, what do you mean by permeable? If it allows to pass through it, that is meaning permeable. So the permeability of the cell plays an important role in regulating exchange of material. Exchange means something from inside to outside and from outside to inside. So this main process depends upon the permeability of the cells. Now, regardless of the type, all epithelium is usually separated from the underlying tissue by a extracellular fibrous basement membrane. So, when we come across, we will see different types of epitheliums are there, and whichever epithelium they are having an underlying tissue by an extracellular fibrous basement membrane. Now, different epithelia you can see in this figure 6.9. Okay, 6.9 you can see there are different types of epithelium, right? Squamous epithelium, right? Cuboidal epithelium, columnar or ciliated epithelium, and stratified squamous epithelium. So we will see what these are. Different epithelia shows differing structure that correlate with their unique functions. So epithelium itself, they are having different function, right? Like epithelium of the skin does not have the same function like epithelium of the intestine, right? For the skin, outer skin, what is the function? It should protect from external shocks and all. It should prevent from external infection, right? But in the intestine, the function of the epithelium will be different. Let us see that. For an example, in cells lining blood vessels or lung alveoli, where transportation of substances occurs through a selectively permeable membrane, there is a simple flat kind of epithelium. This is called simple epithelium. See, when there is a gas exchange or mineral exchange, the cell should be permeable, right? The cell lining of the particular organ should be very thin, right? Very thin, so that it helps in the permeability. Just imagine you have two different lining. Okay, if this particular lining, the permeability should be maximum, right? It will take a long time to pass through it. It has a thick barrier, right? But if it is a thin barrier, the passage of whatever minerals is easy. So this particular simple kind of epithelium is called the simple epithelium. In the first figure, you can see this is the simple squamous epithelium. You can see the size of it, right? It is very thin and flat and forms a delicate lining. The esophagus. What is esophagus? Your food pipe, right? Food pipe is called the esophagus. The lining of the mouth. These two are covered with squamous epithelium. Now the next, skin. Skin is also made up of squamous epithelium. What all? Esophagus, lining of the mouth, the skin. These all are made up of simple squamous epithelium. Now in skin, epithelial cells are arranged in many layers. Why? To prevent wear and tear. Since they are arranged in a pattern of layers, this epithelium is called stratified squamous epithelium. So here, before I said esophagus and lining of the mouth are simple squamous epithelium. Now the skin is also a squamous epithelium, but it is not simple one. It is stratified. It has many layers of epithelium is there. So this type of epithelium is called stratified squamous epithelium. where absorption and secretion occurs, as in the lining of intestine. Tall epithelial cells are present. Okay. Now, earlier we learned about simple epithelium, then layered epithelium, which is called as stratified epithelium. Now here a different type is there, which is having tall epithelial cells. Okay, tall epithelial cells. For example, they are found in the lining of intestine. They form pillar-like cells are there, and this epithelium facilitates movement across the epithelial barrier. That means in the respiratory tract, this columnar epithelium is found. What are they called? Columnar epithelium. Columnar epithelium. So sometimes in this columnar epithelium, cilia will be present. Cilia. These are called cilia, which helps in the movement, which helps or facilitates the movement of any substance. So this particular ciliated columnar epithelium is found in respiratory tract. Okay, so these cilia, they are hair-like projections on the outer surface of the epithelial cells. And what is the function of these cells? They helps in the movement in respiratory tract. What they do? Their movement pushes the mucus forward to clear it. Okay, this type of epithelium is called ciliated columnar epithelium. Since cilia is present, this type of columnar epithelium is called ciliated columnar epithelium. Now the last type is cuboidal epithelium. By the name it suggests it's cube-like, okay, cube-shaped, and forms the lining of kidney tubules and ducts of salivary gland. Ducts means where the salivary glands are produced. Now, where it produces mechanical support. So what is the main function of cuboidal epithelium? Mechanical support. Now, epithelial cells, they often acquire additional specialization. Certain places, this epithelial cells, they need to specialize. They need some other quality also, such as a gland cell, where glands are there. Okay, glands means which secretes hormones. So, the gland cells which can secrete substances at the epithelial surface. Okay. Sometimes a portion of epithelial tissue folds inward and a multicellular gland is formed, and that is called glandular epithelium. Okay, certain specialized epithelial cells which forms glands, they are called glandular epithelium. So that was all with epithelial tissue. Next is connective tissue. I already said an example. Yeah, blood. Blood is a type of connective tissue. And why it is called connective tissue? Because it connects. The cells of the connective tissue are loosely spaced. Just imagine blood. Is blood thick? No, it is loosely spaced. And intercellular matrix, so there are many cells inside blood. Okay, and the matrix may be jelly like. How does a blood look like? It is fluid, right? Dense or rigid. It can be rigid also. Connective tissues are of different types, not only blood. You can see other types of connective tissues also. So here you can see there are different types of connective tissues given here. First is the areolar tissue, right, which A is given, that is the areolar tissue. Next is the adipose tissue, B, which is given as adipose tissue. That means the fat that is stored under your skin. These are adipose tissue. And C, it is compact bone. Bone is also a connective tissue. Bone is also inside your body. That is also a connective tissue. Now D is given hyaline cartilage. They are cartilage bone. What is cartilage? Cartilage are bones which are flexible. Your ear is a cartilage, right? And in between bones also you have cartilages, so that it helps in there need not be any wear and tear of your bones. That is a cartilage. Okay, so cartilage is also a connective tissue, and blood is also connective tissue. So these are examples for connective tissue. You don't need to learn in detail what they are. Examples are areolar tissue, adipose tissue. Not example, different types. Different types of connective tissues are areolar tissues, adipose tissues, bone, cartilage and blood. Okay, you have 5 different types of connective tissue. Let us learn about blood. Blood has a fluid matrix. Blood is fluid, you already know, and that fluidity is due to blood plasma. Now you have learned already that blood consists of RBC or the red blood cells, and WBC or the white blood cells, and the third part is platelets, right? Blood consists of RBC, WBC and platelets. Now the plasma is the fluid part of the blood is called plasma. Now what all are present in plasma? Plasma contains proteins, salt and hormones. There are different things inside the plasma. Now blood flows and transports gases, digested food, hormones and waste materials to different parts of the body. So that is why blood is having a fluid nature. Due to this fluidity, blood takes everything that is needed to the body to different parts of the body, right? So that is the function of blood. Now coming on to the next one, bone. Bone is also a connective tissue, right? It forms a, you know the function of a bone. It supports the body, right? Supports the body. It also anchors the muscles and supports the main organs of the body. You have a lot of organs inside it, inside your body, right? So that also the muscles also are anchored into this brain. Okay, sorry, into the bone. Sorry, it is a strong and non-flexible tissue. Is bone flexible? No, bone cannot be flexible. So it is a non-flexible tissue. Now bone cells are embedded in a hard matrix that is composed of calcium and phosphorus compound. So what is bone made up of? Calcium and phosphorus. Now you might have seen two bones meet together, right? Two bones meet together with the help of ligament. Okay, wherever two bones meet, there is a ligament, and this is very elastic. This tissue is very elastic but has considerable strength also. Okay, now certain places muscles are fixed to bone. Okay, muscles when fixed to bone, they are called tendons. Okay, this type of tissue is called tendons, and they connect bones to muscles. Okay, bones to bones, it is ligament, and bones to muscle, tendons. Now tendons are fibrous tissue with great strength but limited flexibility. Muscles and bones are connected with tendons, but tendons need to be flexible, right? They have great strength but not flexible. Now the next type of connective tissue is cartilage. Cartilage has widely spaced cells. Okay, the solid matrix is composed of protein and sugar. It is made up of protein and sugar. And what is the main function? Cartilage smoothens bone surface at joints. Where there are joints, the bone and bone should not come in contact and have wear and tear, right? In certain areas, this cartilages are present. Examples are on your nose, on your ears, in between trachea and larynx. Here all you can find cartilage. Okay, now next one is areolar connective tissue. They are found between the skin and the muscles. So under the skin and before the muscles, areolar connective tissues are found, and blood vessels and nerves, they all are in this areolar connective tissue. Around the blood vessels they are found, and nerves also. And in the bone marrow, what is bone marrow? If you cut open a bone and if you see, you can see there is a space inside it, and that is called bone marrow, where this RBCs, blood cells which are dead, they are accumulated in the bone marrow. And what is it? It fills the space inside the organs. All the organs, the space and cavities are filled with areolar connective tissue, and it also helps in repair of tissues. Now the last type was adipose tissue. Very good. So fat storing adipose tissue, as I said earlier, is found below the skin and between the internal organs. So these tissues are filled with fat globules. It helps in storage of fat, right? So what is the function of storage of fat? If fat is stored under your skin, yes, very good. It acts as an insulator. What do you mean by insulator? When temperature changes are there, or insulator means a protective barrier. Whenever there is a temperature change, you don't get affected. It is all because of this adipose tissue. Now next type of tissue is muscular tissue. Muscular tissue, wherever muscles are found, the tissue is muscular tissue. Now muscular tissue consists of elongated cells, okay, and those elongated cells are called muscle fibers. Now these muscle fibers are responsible for the movement in our body. So wherever muscles are there, they helps in movement. As I said earlier, the movement of muscle fibers are known as contraction and relaxation. So the movement of the contraction and relaxation of muscle fibers bring about movement. Now here you can see in the figures type of muscle fibers. You can see A, B and C, right? First one is striated muscle. You can see there are striations here, right? Striations. If you see, you can see lines over here. These are called striations, and this type of muscles are called striated muscles. Now second type, you can see they are spindle shaped. What is spindle? Like this shape. Both the ends are tapered and the center part is bulged. So this type of shape is called spindle. So these muscles are spindle shaped and they are called smooth muscles. Okay. And the third type is cardiac muscles. Okay. They have branches, right? You can see they are branched. Okay. So these are cardiac muscles. So let us learn them in detail. In lower classes you have learned that there are two types of muscles, right? Those muscles which you can move according to your will, they are called voluntary muscles, and those which you cannot move according to your will, They are called involuntary muscles, right? Can you give an example of voluntary muscles? Yeah, movement of your hand, they are voluntary muscles. Can you stop your heart beating? No. So those are involuntary muscles. Now voluntary muscles, they are also called as skeletal muscles, as they are mostly attached to the bones and help in movement. So they are called skeletal muscles. Now under the microscope, if you watch under the microscope, these muscles show alternate light and dark bands. They will have bands like this. So these places are called dark bands, right? And this place are called light bands. So dark and light bands are there. So when you see under the microscope, it appears like striations. So this type of muscle is called striated muscles or skeletal muscle. So the cells of these tissues are long, okay? They are long, cylindrical and unbranched. No branches are there. They are unbranched. Now, the movement of food in alimentary canal. Alimentary canal means your digestive system. Or the contraction and relaxation of blood vessels. Blood vessels will contract and relax. These are involuntary movements. You cannot control them. So, these places where involuntary actions are there, those muscles are called involuntary muscles or smooth muscles. Okay. For example, the iris of your eye. Okay. Iris of your eye. That means it contracts and relaxes. When light is there, it contracts, and when light is not there, it relaxes. So the movement of this muscle, the uterus, in the uterus or in the bronchi of the lungs, you cannot control those movements. Those involuntary muscles are called smooth muscles. Okay, smooth muscles, as I said earlier, they are spindle shape. Okay, they are tapered at both ends and bulged in the center. They are spindle shaped, uninucleated. They have only one nucleus in it, and they doesn't have any striations, no light and dark bands. So they are also called unstriated muscles. So this particular muscle is having three names: involuntary muscle, smooth muscle, or in unstriated muscles. These three are same only. Okay. Now, next type of muscle is the muscle of the heart. You know that the heart shows rhythmic contraction, right? Rhythmically, it contracts and relaxes throughout the life. So these involuntary muscles are called cardiac muscles. They need continuous working, right? It cannot stop at any time. So this type of muscle is called cardiac muscle. It is a muscle of the heart, and they are cylindrical. We saw that it is cylindrical and it branches also. It is branched and cylindrical and uninucleated. Only one nucleus is present. Right? So that is cardiac muscle. Now, what you have to do? You have to compare the structure of different types of muscular tissue. Just now I mentioned different types of muscular tissue. The question may come, what are the different type of muscle tissues, or they'll ask the difference between cardiac muscle and smooth muscle, right? They can ask any of the, so you have to prepare a table showing the comparison of different types of muscular tissue. Now last type of tissue is nervous tissue. Nervous means not frightened, okay? Nervous tissue, it is a tissue of your brain. Now all cell possess the ability to respond to stimuli. What do you mean by respond to stimuli? If you are pricked by a needle, what will you react? you will put your hands back, right? So that means response. Okay, and what is stimuli? That pricking is known as the stimuli. So all of the cells have this ability to respond to stimuli. Nobody says to you that if you are pricked by a needle, you should move your hand, right? That is the response of your body. So all cells have this ability. Now, cells of the nervous tissues are highly specialized for being stimulated and then transmitting the stimulus very rapidly, very fast from one place to another within the body, right? Just imagine the same example, pricking of the needle. See, the information that the needle has pricked on you should go to your brain, right? And it should come back and then you respond. This should be a very fast process, right? It should not be taking so much of time. Like, let the needle prick me, let me feel the pain, and then I will take back your hand. No, this is a fast process. So this fast process, this rapid process is taken up by different specialized cells, and those cells are called neurons. Okay, so where does this action all occurs? The brain, spinal cord and nerves, these all together forms the nervous tissue. Okay, what all are there in nervous tissue? Brain, spinal cord and nerves. The cells of the tissues are called nerve cells or neurons. Okay, you can see this is the figure of a neuron. Okay, now coming on to the neuron. Okay, neuron has a cell body. The center part is called a cell body. Okay, cell with a nucleus. This part is called the nucleus of the neuron, and it is having cytoplasm here, and from this cytoplasm certain hair-like structures are formed, and they are called dendrons. Okay, dendrons. I'll draw a better figure. Okay. So this is the cell body with a nucleus in it, right? And these are the dendrons. Now these dendrons, they again divide. Dendrons divide, and these are called dendrite. Okay, can you see? These are called dendrites. The division of dendrons are called dendrites. Okay, and the longest dendron, okay, longest dendron is called the axon. Okay, and the axon now ends like this with certain knobs on it. Okay, and these are called presynaptic knobs. Now you don't have to learn much about it, but they are called the nerve endings. It is the ending of a nerve. Okay, they are called the nerve endings, right? So what does a neuron consist of? Neuron consists of a cell body. Then the center part is containing nucleus. Now the cell body divides into dendron and then to dendrites, right? And the longest dendron is called the axon, right? And the endings are called nerve endings, right? Now I saw a question that somebody asked, what is myelin sheath? I think Toral asked. A myelin sheath. What is a myelin sheath? Here you can see blue structures here, right? They are a covering of the axon. Okay, they are covering of the axon and helps in the movement of messages fast. Here, see, just imagine this blue color thing is not there. Okay, this blue color myelin sheath is not there. So the axon, let it be like this. Okay, the axon looks like this, and there is no myelin sheath. So what happens? The message needs to pass the entire length of the axon. But if this myelin sheath is there, the message will jump and reach here. Okay, this process will be fast. Okay, so that is the advantage of myelin sheath. What is it? Myelin sheath. Myelin sheath helps in the movement of messages faster. So that was all with animal tissues. Hope you have understood. If you have any doubts, you can just post under the chapter. Okay. Thank you. Have a nice day.